A deal possible? Is there a chance of talks between the two sides at this point?
No, not at all. We will fight, and we'll hold the U.S. by the throat through the Strait of Hormuz, and we'll continue to hammer them. And if they try to do anything on the ground, then they'll really see what we can do. You've messed with the wrong country. Your propaganda doesn't work anymore. And the Iranian people have shown their resolve. They'll see this through. What you've done to the Palestinian people, to the Iraqi people, to the Cuban people,
finally,
to the Venezuelan people,
we are running out of time. We are running out of time.
To the Iranian people.
Can I ask you about the new Ayatollah? There are reports here that he is dead, that he was killed in an attack that killed his father. Have you any proof that he is alive and well?
You can make all the claims that you want. After all, that's what Western media does.
No, it was a simple question. I'm just asking whether there's any proof. Not everything's a trick. I'm asking whether there's any proof that he is still alive. There are some reports he's dead.
Yes,
there are some reports that he's in Russia seeking treatment. Is he in the country and is he alive and well?
That's a ridiculous claim to say that he's in Russia seeking treatment, or he's dead in Iran, or he was killed already. That just shows that these are just your narratives. He's leading the country, and the U.S. empire is collapsing, and the world has turned against you, and your regime is part of the carpet bombing. You helped the carpet bombing in Tehran and across the country, and the world will not forget what you did. And the world will not forget your propagandists either.
Professor Mohammad Marandi, Professor of English Literature in the University of Tehran. Many thanks for taking the time to join us there from Tehran.
And double honors to the elders of Jemas Ruel. Blessings unto those men. And blessings and salutations to the Akim out there in truth, pushing this word in all sincerity and in honesty. With that being said, Shalom Israel Barak. Today's lesson, Babylon the Great is losing global credibility. And here we have an article from thehill.com that says the world is watching America lose its moral compass and its global credibility. And due to that fact alone, they are trying to get that credibility back by means of military force. But now modern-day Babylon the Great finds itself struggling with the so-called Iranians. America now faces a strong, formidable opponent that the scriptures prophesied that with great power shall they come. And that is talking about the Carmanians. Let's go over to 2 Esdras 15 and 30. Here we have that scripture of 2 Esdras 15 and 30. Also the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. The modern day Assyrian is Edom, and they represent the rod of the Lord Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushai's anger, according to the scripture of Isaiah 10 and 5. And the land of the Assyrians, on the other hand, is spiritually speaking of America. The Carmanians that shall rage in wrath and that shall go forth as the wild boar speaks of the Iranians. And when it comes to the Iranians, they shall be in that mentality of a wild boar. And when it comes to wild boars, they are extremely aggressive and ferocious. Even that guy was coming in an aggressive state. The Carmanians, aka the Iranians, aka the Persians, shall rage in wrath, and with great power shall they come. And you can see and feel their anger when it comes to these interviews. Iran has now been labeled and recognized as a member of the world superpowers. Despite being under sanctions for 47 years, one thing to understand about the so-called Iranians is that they are a continental superpower and an energy superpower. The Iranians are known as a global energy powerhouse. And the Armenians are also a drone and missile superpowerhouse as well. Iran has been preparing for decades, and they were underestimated because they continue to show the military might of their missiles and drones upon the battlefield. And Iran has an enormous arsenal. And when it comes to Iran, they have very sophisticated and accurate theater ballistic missiles with a range of 1,200 miles. They also have tactical ballistic missiles, those TBMs. They also possess cruise missiles, unmanned systems, and an underground city that is full of drones. And when it comes to those cheap drones, they are causing major damage to enemy infrastructure. Now, when it comes to this current American-Israeli versus Iran war, the ChinaDaily.com article reported that this U.S. military move has effectively opened Pandora's box. Future developments will hinge on Iran's response and its capacity to retaliate. Now that Iran has begun striking U.S. military bases in the Middle East, the situation has become politically untenable for Washington. Right, untenable, meaning that a position, argument, or situation cannot be defended, maintained, or justified against criticism or attack, especially of a position or view, not able to be maintained or defended against attack or objection. And Pandora's box is a process that generates many complicated problems as the result of unwise interference in something. Modern day Babylon the Great, along with the small hats, are losing the war, and tensions are extremely high. In going into Iran, you have opened up Pandora's box, as they say, which is a process that generates many complicated problems as the result of unwise interference in something. Right, that's why they said that they miscalculated. Now, if the Armenians were to get attacked or invaded by the West, that will automatically draw out the Russians to war. Remember that Russia provides unprecedented level of military aid and technical support to Iran. So any attack on Iran will definitely draw out the Russians. So we are no longer living in the time of peace, but of war. And prophecy has also said that the allies of modern day Babylon the Great, which speaks of America, shall also betray them, shall betray her. Right, those 10 horns. The reason that the Third World War of utter destruction has not come is due to the CHIP of Revelation 13 and 16. That has to come first. As soon as the elites of society implements the MOTV CHIP of Revelation 13 and 16, that Third World War cometh quickly. It follows right after. That Third World War shall issue in the end of the Edomite Empire. Now, when it comes to Iran, they claim that they do not have arrows of mass destruction, but they do possess the know-how on how to make them. But there is also a possibility that they have already created one and has been stored away. Right, because they are not going to make one at the last minute in the time of that greater war. But they can also be supplied unto them by the Russians or China. These smaller nations are no longer weak due to the fact that they have now leveled the playing field in the possession of nuclear capability. That's why the scripture of Joel 3 and 10 has said, let the weak say, I am strong. Let's go over to that scripture. Joel 3 and 10. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Right, let the weak say, I am strong, refers to these weaker and smaller nations that were into farming and that are now in possession of nuclear capability. Those bully nations are now confident in saying, I am strong, due to the possession and know-how of nuclear capability. Right. Now, when it comes to Iran, they claim that they do not have an arrow of mass destruction, but they do possess the know-how on how to make them. So they have leveled out the playing field when it comes to nuclear capability. Plus, now with a new Iranian leader, that could very well change. Not only are these smaller nations in possession of nuclear capability, but they are also backed up by other greater superpower nations such as China and Russia. Let the weak say, I am strong, pertains to those weaker and smaller nations that did not have nuclear capability at one point, but now do. They now possess nuclear capability. Those weaker and smaller nations are now confident in saying, I am strong, due to the fact that they now possess nuclear capability. And what you are witnessing now with the Carmanians, aka the Iranians, is prophecy being fulfilled. And with great power shall they come. And in this early stage of the game, as they say, they are bringing it. This war that's to come shall be with the fuel of fire. Let's go over to that scripture. That's in Isaiah 9 and 5. Here we have that scripture of Isaiah 9 and 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. And I'm going to show you from a video what's the fuel of fire. But the battles of ancient warriors came with much confused noise. The confused noise of battle cries, along with the banging of weapons against shields, the rattling noise of battle formations, the clanging of swords and of shields shattering, armor rattling and being pierced, along with the screams of the injured. Even the sound of trumpets has been used throughout history to warn of incoming dangers, to prepare for war, and to exert power and control. And many ancient wars were fought mano a mano, and the garments of those warriors were full of much blood upon the battlefield. But in this modern time period, that confused noise that many shall hear will be with much burning and fuel of fire. But let me show you what the fuel of fire is according to this small video clip that I have.
This is Imad 1 and this is Sejal missile. Clear? So these are some known missiles. Now, there are different types of missiles which is used by Iran. Now, there are basically two types of missile. One is called as solid fueled missile. One is called as solid fueled missile. Another is called as liquid fueled missile. Liquid fueled missiles. So two types of missiles. Solid fueled missiles, these are more advanced. These are launched from angled mobile launchers, as you can see here. Then liquid fueled missiles, these are launched from vertical launchers. Remember this thing, these are launched from vertical launchers. Now, let's take the examples. The missiles which are fired on Israel in July 2025. अब ऐसी कौन सी missiles थी which are fired on Israel in July 2025? Likely to be solid fueled missile like Hajj Qasim, Kebar. These are some important. Hajj Qasim, as you can see here.
That destructive noise of the missiles upon detonation shall be heard as they strike all the strategic targets. This time it shall be with the fuel of fire. In the aftermath, nothing shall be left to recognize once those arrows of mass destruction detonate. Those troops shall not return home. And we are no longer living in a time of peace, but of war. So in that coming Third World War, those arrows of mass destruction shall destroy Babylon the Great, along with the land that the small hats now inhabit, that they now occupy. But Babylon the Great shall never rebuild, but the land that the small hats now occupy shall certainly rebuild. But even the Lord's chariot shall partake in the destruction of those military armies of the earth. That's why the scripture of 2 Esdras 13 and 11 went on to say, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude, which was prepared to fight. Right, that's why it's called the violence of the multitude. And burned them up everyone, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. Right, because Esdras witnessed the true power of the Lord when that so-called spaceship opened up a section and fired a tremendous laser beam blast upon his enemies. But when it comes to this war, to this Third World War, when it comes to that destructive war, it shall be the small hatters that shall draw out the Americans, their American counterparts, to that final destructive war of Armageddon. Hebrew word Armageddon. Now, when it comes to that final destructive war to come, it shall come full scale when that CHIP of Revelation 13 and 16 gets implemented by the elites of society. Do not take it. But in the case of Iran, Iran was definitely underestimated when it came to the start of this war. And we are in the beginning stages of something greater and more deadlier to come. Babylon definitely bit off more than they can chew, and greatly miscalculated, as they said on their past article. But with that being said, Kalalau Malak Yahweh, Wa Yahushai, Bahashem, Racha Kudash, and double honors to the elders of GMS Ruel. Blessings unto those men, and blessings and salutations to the Akim out there in truth, pushing his word in all sincerity and in honesty. With that being said, Shalom Israel, Barakatah, Shalom.